Why is it that black history is so triggering to America? It is because our history is the mirror America can't look at itself in. Diversity, equity, and inclusion came along because it wasn't. There either needed to be violence or laws. That's all that was going to change everything. So we spent more time being racist than taking the remedies for it. We're cycling back to a time when white men got to decide what your value was. DEI is the new whites only sign.
Time to tell it like it is. I'm sure the way you feel about that video is very different than how I feel. I'm triggered in a different way. It makes me think about things differently.
So I think that much of what he said was true. I think when faced with the reality of looking introspectively, America is racist at its core. It was established on racist principles, particularly the economic and physical infrastructure of this country is based there. And sometimes it's just hard to look at yourself and come out with a true assessment of who you are. There's still all these overt instances of racist behavior. So we could talk about things that we've seen play out in the media, news coverage of incidences where African Americans are injured or harmed solely based on their color. The critical mass of black women who are lost with no resolution to their cases. It's just no energy put in finding and returning them home. So I think that there are definitely still clear indicators that America does not want to address.
Your opinion and your feelings fall in line greatly with what D.L. Hugley has said. I personally think we need to take a different approach, a different look at this. But let me ask you this before I get into my little spill. Let me ask you this: what exactly? How, all things considered who's president right now, considered all the changes, considered the direction that it seems rather obvious that this country is going in. What do you think needs to be done to protect black people? What needs to be done to not have this country end up back at war, a second civil war, if you will? What do you think needs to be done for the benefit of black people specifically?
The only thing that's going to protect black people is black people themselves. We have to know who is making decisions for us. And we have to figure out a way to unify ourselves enough that we can be sufficient, self-sufficient, if they want to turn back time.
One particular thing you said that caught my attention and asked you a question about that. You said that black people will have to protect black people.
Absolutely.
Black people. Well, how exactly do you see that to happen? Expect that to happen?
I don't know if there's a way for that to happen,
Okay,
but certainly,
great. Absolutely great,
right?
Absolutely great. Now, let me go into this.
But I have some suggestions.
Oh, okay. What are your suggestions? Let's touch on that real quick before I really get into it.
So we need to figure out how to protect our dollars and cents in banking systems that are favorable to us. So there are a number of black banks. We need to maybe start figuring out how to channel some of our money in that direction. We need to stop spending so much on random nonsense, designer clothes.
Far too many of our people that do not understand how important it is to be one, or as much one as possible, to unify. And that's a huge part of the reason why black people are at the very bottom. Every single other group of people globally have more unity than black people, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. That is so extremely important. They don't want to believe that things are as bad as they are. They don't give attention to the things that I do. They don't do their research like I do. And it bothers me. It makes me want to say something that they probably wouldn't like. To me just being real, being direct, being as frank as possible with people and telling them to shut the fuck up. You should not be saying anything if you have not done your own research. I'm not talking about what somebody else said. I'm not talking about Google. I'm not talking about your favorite celebrity or what you saw on social media or what all these other. No, not the news or what. Your own research. There's so much information out there free, available to us. You have access to, all of us have access to let you know exactly what's going on with our people, these things that are actually true about our people. I feel like you want to say something real quick.
No, I think that all of those things are adverse to our survival. The point is, all of them are distractions from the things that we need to be focused on. So we can continue to talk about.
What things are distractions specifically?
So the things that we do on social media, the behaviors that we do that are not advancing the cause of our people, or even saving your own household, spending frivolously. Those are things that people display in the social media space.
So are you suggesting
wasting time?
Are you suggesting that it's fake? Like you can't go off of social media to determine how people are?
You certainly can, but what I'm saying
Absolutely
is
you can.
We are at a time where rollbacks on things that we have become accustomed to are happening. And if our eyes are not attentive to what is happening in the political space, we could find ourselves with less access to things that are our creature comforts. We could find ourselves in a position where we can't control at all what's happening to our children and how they're being treated outside of ourselves. I do think that does matter.
I don't think any of that. We don't need to concern ourselves with what these white people are trying to change, the things that they're trying to do.
But we can't save ourselves if our eyes are not attentive to the things that are happening.
And I can understand. I understand everything you're saying, and maybe that's what's keeping so many of our black people back. What's holding us back, and what is going to end up at some point failing us significantly. We do not need to concern ourselves with what these white people are doing. The fact of the matter is this. The fact of the matter is, look at the percentage of people the percentage of the population that we occupy in this country. If these white people wanted to change every daggone thing, they wanted to vote for they could easily do that, and we would not be able to do nothing. So what we need to be completely unaware. We need to be doing.
So we need to prepare.
Whether we are aware or not, it doesn't change the fact that we need to start building ourselves. That we need to start unifying and coming together for the sake of the
things that I said.
Okay.
We're having a conversation about how a black woman with a master's degree still finds herself twerking or flipping her wig on social media. That's a distraction to the things that she could be doing to help.
Hold on. Do you not agree that social media is a realistic reflection, an accurate, a correct reflection of how people actually are?
It's certainly a microcosm.
Absolutely is. Now I'll tell you like this. Perfect example. Just not long ago, end of last year, I did the video about cooking with Kaya. It's not only devaluing, it's not only destructive that she is online showing off her chest, twerking her behind around. It ain't got nothing to do with food. Nothing to do with food. Everybody wants to ignore the fact that's why she has the vast majority of her attention is coming from men. Look at the comment section. Hold on. Even the comment section is not about goddamn food. Her and many other black women that do the same thing. She's not the only one. Look at their comment section. Go on TikTok. Look at these different women doing the same daggone thing. Older, younger. Look at the comment section. They don't care about the food she's making. All these sexual comments and all this different stuff. That is not important to them. But my point is this. That is a part of the destruction, the failure of our people. There's no way you're going to have our good men, the best of our men, those who we expect to stand strong and protect our people, to want to protect that. If you are failing significantly, if you are not willing to save yourself, if you're not willing to understand, to recognize your own value and importance. First, as black men, we're going to have to, unfortunately, I hate to put it this way, but we're probably going to have to go to war against our own black men. We're going to have to be faced with our own black men for the sake of doing away, killing this ideal, this habit rather, of too many of our black men destroying other black men, unaliving ourselves, and all this violence and nonsense and all this failure within between our black men. We need to address that, of course. The black men are the ones who are responsible for the protection and structure and all these things that are expected in order to accomplish what we're talking about. We need to accomplish as black people. But let me get to why I feel like it's not important that we concern ourselves with what these white people are doing. Because number one, like I already said, it doesn't matter whether we vote or not. If they really wanted to, which they have been doing, why do you think this no good ass person is back in the position of president? It's not even about Republican versus Democrat. It's not about none of this political stuff. It's not. He is an extremely horrible person. He's an extremely horrible example for other people. And you think it makes sense to put somebody like that in that position? Convicted felon several times over. The extremely stupid shit he says. Look at the stupid shit he's been saying so far. Already. Shit he's posting on social media. Something's not right, but they think it makes sense to put somebody like that in a position. It does not matter how we vote, what we say, that does not matter. So that's why we don't need to be concerned ourselves with these white people are doing. That's going to be the distraction. You mentioned distraction. That is going to be a distraction. Concern ourselves with these white people are doing. What we need to do is prepare ourselves as soon as possible. We don't have time to be bullshitting around. We need to prepare ourselves as soon as possible to have to go to war, to have to protect our people. There's so much shit with our people we need to fix in order to be able to best protect ourselves. I'm going to tell you like this. Everything that we could talk about, sit here and talk for literally days, months even, non-stop. If we didn't have to sleep and eat and shit and all that. Literally for months, because there's literally millions upon millions of shit online that proves the significant failure of our black people that needs to be addressed, that needs to be changed. But also let's not ignore the fact that we are still being unalived at an alarming rate by our oppressors in this country. As I mentioned earlier on, the truck driver being lynched, being hung, the one truck driver, the delivery driver, FedEx, UPL, I can't remember who he drove for, but he comes up missing. Nobody's found him yet. So many of our black women have come up missing. All kinds of craziness. Most recently, the video of this white man who thought it made sense to at the gas station to pull a weapon out and we'll talk about that because I think there's failure on the part of that black woman as well. But nevertheless, I'm gonna be doing a video speaking about that as well. But my point is this. These people in this country, these people that are our oppressors, they do not concern themselves at all. They're not bothered at all by the evil things that they do. They're not bothered at all by the destruction, the cold-hearted evil things that they do. Why is that? Somebody tell me, why is that? Because they're not human? No, they're humane. They're human. They're emotional creatures just like we are. There's something that all black people need to understand. We need to understand this clearly. We need to understand this as why. This is literally why it is so easy for them to not concern themselves. We are making it easier for them to not concern themselves. You know why they're not bothered to change? To stop, to be better? Because we are not bothered enough to stop. We, black people, are not bothered enough to stop. The horrible and evil things that we are doing to ourselves. We are destroying ourselves. Let me do this. How about this? Hold on. Watch this. Let's use another group of people or maybe forget. Let's get away from people. Let's use animals as an example. Let's say dogs or something. The vast majority of dogs are domesticated, right? Mm-hmm. Vast majority of them, they're friendly, nice. They lick your hand, whatever the case may be. Okay. If a significant enough percentage of dogs were attacking and hurting people or killing people often, this is a normal thing all the time. Attacking and unaliving don't have to be just pit bulls or certain types of dogs. All dogs. A significant enough percentage of dogs were attacking and hurting or killing people often enough. You hear about somebody shooting and killing a dog, and no one is calling the police. No one is complaining animal cruelty. If there was no confinements or certain things put in place to separate African people from the wild animals in Africa. Nobody would be mad because this family had to, a whole bunch of men in this family had to go and kill this lion because it busted inside their home and was attacking everybody. Nobody would feel sorry for that lion. They wouldn't feel sorry for him. It was necessary to save for the sake of preserving human life. Just as there is no significant concern for black people still being lynched and still being treated unfairly and hung and all the horrible things being done to us. Still being subjected to cruelty and unfair treatment and everything. Black people failing in so many different ways and killing ourselves has become so common that it doesn't concern other groups of people. It does not. Just like you can talk about how there's wars in other countries. There's other groups of people being affected by these wars and terrible things happening. They demonstrate more coverage, more news coverage, and more attention and more sympathy and sending millions and millions of dollars to help them out. They don't do that to, and this has been something that people have been complaining about before. Why they didn't do that in Africa? Why they didn't send money for? There's a reason why other groups of people get more attention and more sympathy. And I know a lot of black people might hate me for this, but this is the truth. Black people failing in so many different ways, killing ourselves, it becomes so common that it doesn't concern other people. This is the problem. It certainly does not concern our oppressors enough to stop. We proudly speak to and of ourselves using the very words that our oppressors use against us. The N-word and all kinds of other stupid shit. That is called failure. We are failing ourselves. You really think other groups of people are going to be significantly concerned about how we're being treated and all this crazy shit that's happening to our people? Unfair shit? When we are destroying ourselves as much as we are? That doesn't make any damn sense. This is why it's so easy for other groups of people globally to get more attention when it comes to, sympathy and prayers and all these things than our people do. People complain all the time. Well, we live in this country. We citizens of this country, and they treating them better. There's a reason why. We play a huge part in the reason why we are treated differently. We need to wake up. All these things, we could talk about all this shit all day long. It's all a part of the problem. Understand what we need to do for ourselves. We've made it so that people don't concern themselves as much with us, about us, because of what we do to ourselves. We need to unify. Nobody's coming to save us. Starting with how we refer to each other, how we treat each other. And I mean everything. Our black women have become so damn comfortable with calling each other bitches and all kind of other disgusting, destructive ass names. All kinds of hoes and everything. Proudly calling each other that. Proudly. Like, that's cool. Using the N-word and shit. I don't care. Even D.L. Hugley, the video we were watching. Comedians, rappers, all of them. Stop using the daggone N-word. Let's see how many of them going to do that. How many of them going to stop doing that? How many of them truly care to see significant positive change for our people? How many of them? I bet you it's not going to happen. I bet you it's not going to happen. Far too many of our black people care more about that daggone money than unifying. More about that money than actually helping our people. They care more about that money than our people. You will go and support some no good ass, failure ass, destructive ass person. Some go and support this damn several times over convicted felon and perform for him because of the money. Forget the fact that he's a horrible example for other people. You will go and do that for the daggone money. And guess what? There's still going to be plenty of black people supporting them. That is where we're failing. No other group of people globally do that shit. They don't. They will do that to their people. Cut them the fuck off. We don't do that. Far too often black people don't do that. You can go on stage and smack the shit out of another black man in front of potentially the world and your career is not over. Are you kidding me? All kinds of shit you can do. Our black men out here, are aping women. You're a celebrity. You're some famous athlete. You still got people going and watching that football game. You still got people going and supporting you in different ways. How? Only black people do that shit. Only black people. Start setting an example. Cutting these people the fuck off. We are the ones going and selling out these damn concerts that's making our no good ass people rich. All these black people of ours putting this destructive ass entertainment out there. All these dumb ass shows they got on TV. Only depicting us as these horrible ass people. Violence, fighting, drugs, illegal activity. We watch those shows more than anybody else. We sell out these concerts more than anybody else. We support these people more than anybody else, the worst of our people. No other group globally does that. They don't support the worst of their people. We do. When are we going to wake the fuck up? I'm very, very serious about how I feel. I'm very, very passionate about how I feel. I want so much. I am so serious about significant positive change for my people. This shit should be just as important to every single black person globally. It should get every single black person in this world just as fired up as I get. Why is that not the case? Why? Anything else you have to say before I No. Wake up. Wake up. Subscribe to change. Subscribe to being better black people.